Big breaking news that Sir Keir Starmer led a legal case that opened the door to hundreds of British soldiers being pursued for alleged war crimes. Apparently, he worked free of charge on this case, according to the Daily Telegraph, along with our Attorney General, Lord Hermer. A really remarkable and shocking story. We'll have the latest for you on that. But before that, it is a catastrophic day for anyone who cares about Britain's borders. You know how the one-in-one-out deal with the French felt like a gimmick and a con? Well, yeah, it is. Here's the Home Secretary crunching the numbers this morning.
Numbers as of today are we've had 350 people come into the country from France and 281 have been removed. They are still relatively small numbers, but the thing I would say is this was a pilot.
In 2025, 41,472 people crossed the English Channel, and you're talking about the low hundreds. This is a disaster.
No, I think it was always a pilot, and it was designed to try to prove that this new model of working with the French could work.
350 in, 281 out. We've had more than 10,000 illegal migrants cross the Channel since they announced that policy. So actually, it's about 10,350 in and 281 out. Then, do you remember when Labour announced this?
France has now agreed that they will now start to intervene in French waters in order to prevent small boats. That hasn't happened yet, but the previous government spent 6 years trying to persuade them. They have now agreed as a result of the pressure that we've been putting on, the discussions that we have had, and we need that to start.
Last week, the French stopped the first boat. Looks pretty empty to me. It's taken them years to stop a single boat. And then today, this was announced. The French Human Rights Watchdog has told the French government they're not allowed to tackle illegal migrants heading to Britain. They are not allowed to cause these illegals any panic or distress. Another bit of bad news today, remember this?
The Rwanda scheme was dead and buried before it started. It's never been a deterrent. Everybody has worked out, particularly the gangs that run this, that the chance of ever going to Rwanda was so slim, less than 1%, that it was never a deterrent.
Well, today, the Rwandan government announced that they are going to be suing Britain for £50 million. They say we were legally obliged to make that payment and the treaty wasn't cancelled correctly. They argue that Starmer and Lord Hermer, who are supposed to be these great forensic legal minds, have got the law wrong. And just to round it off, we've got a judge in this country who banned the British public from knowing, until the end of the trial, that a Pakistani rapist who raped a vulnerable teenage girl in a park was, in fact, an asylum seeker. She claimed it was to avoid, quotes, a substantial risk of prejudice to the administration of justice. I mean, we're going to talk about that a bit more later, but was that really the right decision to prevent the jury and the public from knowing that a rapist was an asylum seeker until the end of the trial? I don't think so. So thousands of illegals in, a few out. The French are ordered to stop tackling migrants on their way to Britain. The Rwandans are suing us, and a judge wants to hide the fact that a rapist is an asylum seeker. All that mental migrant news in just one day. There's nothing more important than keeping your money and your identity safe online. And with so many VPN options available, choosing the right one can be pretty daunting. But this video's sponsor, ExpressVPN, is making the choice easier for GB News viewers. ExpressVPN is offering up to 75% off, plus 4 extra months free. That's top-level security from just £2.49 a month, and you're covered by their 30-day money-back guarantee. So just click the link in this video's description or scan the QR code now. Remember, when you're online, you are often sharing personal data, so hackers can steal your information, your passwords, your photos, and your bank details in just seconds. But ExpressVPN encrypts your connection, making it virtually impossible for hackers to access your personal information. So why choose ExpressVPN? Well, it couldn't be easier to use. With just one click, you are protected. And ExpressVPN uses military-grade AES 256 encryption, which is the same standard trusted by the US government to guard their classified information. With their new tiered plans, you can protect up to 14 devices at once and manage passwords securely. Live chat support is available 24/7, and it typically connects you in under a minute with a real person. Click the link in this video's description or scan the QR code to get up to 75% off ExpressVPN, plus 4 months extra for free. Start protecting yourself today with ExpressVPN. Let's get thoughts from my panel. Got GB News contributor Will Kingston, Reform UK candidate Orla Minahan, and political commentator Jonathan Liss. Will, which one of those baffling illegal migrant stories from today alone has got you the most worked up, do you think?
Well, I think you need to look at them collectively, because there is a line that runs through all of them, Patrick, and that is that there is still a legal framework in place that is enabling more migrants to come to this country and stay in this country. We said this on your show on the day that this was announced, and that is, unless you untangle the legal framework that has enabled people to come to this country illegally, they will keep on coming. The ECHR, the Human Rights Act, the Refugee Convention, all of them are used by the judiciary to keep bad people in this country, and anything else from, admittedly, a Home Office minister that is rhetorically very strong is nothing but a smokescreen. And what I think is really frustrating is that this sort of Blair-era spin, they seem to think that it will still work with the public when the public can see the numbers that are coming in every single day. Like, it is nothing but gaslighting, and unfortunately, they now have the data which is just being pushed back in their face, and no one is buying it.
Yeah, I mean, the one-on-one-out deal is just officially ridiculous, isn't it?
The whole thing's an absolute shambles, isn't it? But, you know, talking of smoke screens and, you know, this lack of transparency, and the fact that Shabana Mahmood goes on LBC this morning and tries to, you know, it comes up with these bizarre numbers that are so minuscule, and everyone, you can see people sitting at home going, we know there's thousands and thousands that are coming here. You're sending none back. You're having to open camps up and down the country to house them all. Do they think that we're all stupid?
Yes.
That's the thing. It's the fact that they make you think, as the British public, that we're buying this nonsense still when we all know the truth.
And do you think it's right that a judge in that case as well decided that the public and the jury should not be made aware that this particular Pakistani rapist who raped a vulnerable teenage girl was in fact an asylum seeker? Were they right to essentially hide that?
Absolutely not. Look, there are so many instances and so many cases where the truth about the identity and the background of these predators has been covered up, and all that it does is create a sense of a lack of transparency, a sense of a lack of sincerity on behalf of the authorities to the public. And all we do is just feel like we're being lied to and gaslighted. And the more that happens, the more angry the public get.
What do you think, Jonathan? Do you think that judge was right there in that case to basically hide from everyone, I suppose, that person happened to be an asylum seeker?
Patrick, the fact we're talking about it now suggests it wasn't hidden. It was in order to guarantee a fair trial. Because, and I wonder if this conversation might be evidence of this, there are a lot of people who are rather prejudiced against asylum seekers, and if they hear that someone's an asylum seeker, they might be more predisposed to convict them of a crime. So if if you don't tell a jury, if you allow a jury to decide the evidence based on the facts, the evidence in front of them, then they can do that.
What about if it's a jury of Manchester United fans and the bloke is a big City season ticket holder? Does the same apply there?
Patrick, you know perfectly well the judges have to make these sorts of decisions all the time. That's why often when there's a conviction, we find out all kinds of things about the defendant that might have led a jury to convict more strongly.
That's normally about previous convictions.
For example.
Which is very serious, and that can definitely prejudice a jury. If someone's up for a charge of theft and they've been convicted of theft 40 times in the past, they're more likely to be found guilty as a result of that. But the fact that they happen to be an asylum seeker, I'm sorry, but I think this is very dangerous territory here.
The fact that they are an illegal migrant is relevant. That goes to their character. They broke into the country illegally. That is past illegal behaviour. That goes to their record, and that is entirely relevant to the subsequent crimes that they committed.
Being an asylum seeker is not a crime.
He's not an asylum seeker. Does not come from Pakistan. People, they're not. Why are they coming here? There's no war in Pakistan. Why are they seeking asylum from Pakistan?
That's for the Home Office to decide. And being an asylum seeker is not a crime in this country.
Okay. You're obviously appalled by what he did, though, Jonathan.
Well, of course.
Rape's a rape.
That's not what you asked me, Patrick.
All right, OK, fine now.
The fact of the matter is...
Obviously, I'm appalled by all violent crime of all descriptions.
Right.
You asked me a question, I answered it.
The point is that this plays into a wider narrative that you have a judiciary and you have a government that are not being honest with the people because they don't trust the people to make informed decisions or to have particular views, because inevitably they think that there are a large proportion of this population that are racist, that are bigoted, and as a result of that, the elites need to basically ensure that they control access to information. That has led to so many problems in this country, and it will continue to happen until you actually have a government that says, look, we trust the the British people, and therefore, as a result of that, we're going to give them information for them to make up their own minds.
Of course, no one in this country is racist against asylum seekers. We know that.
Illegal migrants. But as I said, it is still better, even if they are racist, and of course there's racists in any country, to give people information, because inevitably, as is the case here, the information comes out in the end, and that just leads to people getting more angry than that were initially. That was the case.
A couple of weeks ago, we were arguing about the fact that, you know, that we were threatening free trials by getting rid of juries. You know, obviously juries are allowed to have to make decisions, and we have to have free trials. We need juries, and juries can't be given information that might prejudice those free trials.
Okay. I think you have to be, in fairness to the British public, put aside the fact that, you know, so many of us who have got an issue with this invasion of legal migrants. Put that aside, the fact that, you know, people like yourself deem us to be unfair and racist and all the other, you know, names that you would call us. But there is fatigue in this country. Every day we hear about these men assaulting and raping and murdering our daughters and our children. And the thing is, the public have just had enough.
Yeah.
How many more are we going to put in a situation where this can happen?
I feel very, very concerned that a judge in this country might deem that specific bit of information to not be relevant. I think that we're in incredibly choppy legal waters there. That would be my view. Just one of the other big stories here that we've done, of course, is that it looks like Rwanda is now going to be suing us for 50 million quid because they think that Keir Starmer and Lord Hermer have got the law wrong on scrapping that treaty.
Yeah, it's funny. They're making a few legal errors recently, overlooking treaties from 1966, overlooking the law when it comes to Rwanda. It goes to show, Patrick, that international law, the rights-based international order, are not really principles of this government as much as they are tools to be used selectively to implement their particular ends at any given time. To say that they care so much about international law is proving to be disingenuous.
Yeah, 50 million quid to Rwanda.
It's only money. It's only money.
What? No, let's just say, I tell you what, we'll keep. Here they are. Here they are, take them. Let's just reverse that and just say, there you go. We've got thousands of them.
Part of me actually genuinely, just final words to you on the show, that actually has a fair bit of sympathy for the Rwandan government over this, because they saw us coming. They absolutely took the British state for a ride, quoted us whatever they wanted to quote us to begin with.
Yeah, exactly.
We said, yeah, take it. We said, yeah, take it, absolutely. They then actually did not renege on their part of the deal. They built the facilities. Yeah. They did the facilities. They were open to taking it. And then now Sir Keir Starmer and his great mate Lord Hermer, who, by the way, are in massive trouble over a previous case when it comes to British veterans, which we're going to touch on shortly. It turns out they might have scrapped that treaty essentially illegally. I mean, I'm not actually anti-Rwandan government on this.
Look, if you have no parliament can bind a future parliament and a UK government is free to renegotiate treaties or cancel them, if that obviously has to be done legally, we will find out what the International Court makes of this. But Starmer and the Labour Party went to the public on a very, very clear manifesto pledge to abolish this policy, and that is exactly what they did.
OK, all right, there we go. Well, look, that is just one day's worth of news when it comes to the absolute migrant mayhem that's going on in Britain.